Hello, and welcome back to the Gloomhaven Solo Deadly Challenge. This is a tough one. This is going to be the circles in the Toxic Moor, and you can see from the amount of experience that I have gained, I did not beat this first try, and I did not beat it second try. I struggled with this one quite a bit. But let's just get into the build. So I have the Thorn Spitter, a long-range, 4-range summon who poisons with every attack, and then I enhance this to have a 1 extra move so that it moves 2 and not just 1. Unending Dominance to get my lost cards back. Gets 4 of them back. Earthen Steed to have a fast card along with the move 5 jump. Tear the Fabric to have a self heal since I'm going to be tanking. Divided Mind to make my summons attack with the bottom action. Strengthen Numbers so that my summons can attack with the top action. Conjured Aid so that I have a second summon. This is the little guy who heals 2 every turn and has an attack of 1. Negative Energy for the Void Eater who moves 3 attacks of 2 and curses with every attack. That curse is really, really useful. And then Otherworldly Rage for a nice bursty attack that deals extra damage, poisons, and wounds. Getting into the items, I have the Cannot Be Crit Helm, the Cloak of Pockets for extra bag items, Wall Shield for a huge force shield every time I long rest, Boots of Striding, Ring of Brutality, Second Chance Ring, both so that I can just bring my summons in faster, Stamina Potions because I do not have very much stamina, only 9 cards, Healing Potion, and then a Ring of Haste for some extra movement. Onto the perk deck. None of these are really all too important. Unfortunately, you can't get rid of these +0s. And then, honestly, these wounding and poison rolling modifiers are just not really that useful. This is not the best attack modifier deck, but it's not completely useless. But let's go ahead and jump into it and see how it went. Alright, so getting into the Toxic Moor, there are just a few things to note about this level. First is that there is a tree. You can see it in the top left-hand corner. It has 17 health. I cannot let that tree die. Now, at the beginning of every round, as long as there is a dragon in that room, that tree, or at the end of every round, that tree is going to suffer 2 damage. And it does not matter if the room is open or not. It will happen at the end of this turn, even though that door is closed. So I just cut out my extra character killing itself. And turn 1, my game plan is just to go really slow. I had to eat a big attack from that dragon, so I used my wall shield to block 4 of the damage. And then I'm just using all of my rings to get all of my summons on the board, and I'm going to go ahead and attack this Elite Rending Drake right here. So other things to note about this level, whenever you are poisoned, these water tiles, the difficult terrain, also act as traps along with difficult terrain, which can be very annoying because if things get walled up correctly, your summons actually will walk into the poison and kill themselves. And then also this living corpse can push you. And then unfortunately, the summoner doesn't have any push actions anywhere, basically. And so even though I'm poisoning all these enemies, I can't really take advantage of the water tiles being traps. But that is just something to keep in mind, that I have to be navigating through traps everywhere. So turn 1, I went really slow, brought all my summons in, and then used my extra actions to get a little bit of an attack. And now turn 2, I'm going fast here so that I can hopefully kill this Rending Drake before he goes. He poisons with every attack and has multiple cards where he's target 2, so that would be very, very bad for my summons. Now I need to move myself forward. I don't want to take a ton of damage, but I also really, really need to get to that back room. I mean, you can see now that that tree is down to 15 health. It goes very quickly, but my summoner is the only tank. None of my summons can use any of my items, obviously, and so on this difficulty, they will all evaporate. Even my 5 health summon, most of these enemies can hit for 5 basically every turn, and then everything poisons on every attack. So even if they just get hit by a really weak attack from this Black Imp, nice roll, miss. Gotta love seeing that. But even if one of my summons get hit by a weak attack from this Black Imp, when he does his target 2 attack for 3, I mean, that can kill any of my summons with just a +2. Or it just puts a poison on them, which makes them kill themselves by walking into a trap. So it is very, very, very dangerous for my summons to be alone. They need me to be in front, but the summoner herself is not super tanky. So just getting a little bit of damage down here. I have to make sure I'm positioned in front, which I am, and so that makes this a good time to long rest. The Imp does get his target 2 card, but luckily the Void Eater is the tankiest summon, and so he doesn't really mind too much getting hit so lightly. And then there are 6 rolling heals, so it's, since my summons are attacking, especially the Void Eater is basically attacking at least 2 times every turn. He has really good odds of drawing one of those one of those healing rolling modifiers. I love the suspense that gets drawn every time a new rolling modifier is drawn. I managed to pull all 4 of the elemental rolling modifiers on that one attack. And then unfortunately these black imps do curse as well, so I have a bunch of curses in my deck. But at this point, since these black imps aren't attacking with this card, they're 24 speed card, they just strengthen and muddle everything around them. So I don't need to worry about any of my summons dying. As long as I go faster than that black imp, they can go ahead and kill him. So I'm going to jump forward here, and this is what I have my Ring of Haste for. I'm not quite sure if I use it right here or the next turn, but I need to make sure that I am nice and healthy. I took a long rest right before I came, so I do have my shield up. Okay, so I'm not going to open the door this turn, but you can see that tree is down to 7 health, so I do not have very many turns left. And just opening the door is not going to stop the tree from burning down. The tree does not stop burning down until all of the dragons have left that room. So I have to open the door and then get out as fast as possible. And I need these dragons to come with me. Unfortunately, Rending Drakes have multiple cards where they do not move. They have one card where they stand still and attack. They have one card where they stand still and they just shield themselves. And this guy who's in the back, the elite Rending Drake behind that tree, he needs to move 8 tiles before he is out of that room. So the tree is at 7 health. That's going to give me 4 turns for that Drake to move those 8 tiles. And then I go ahead and use my Ring of Haste so that I can get back to my summons. But this is another difficult part of this scenario. Many parts of this were very, very difficult. So first, it's just having to get all the way to this back room so that I can bring these dragons out. But then, since this room is so far away, my Void Eater moves 3 every turn, and both my other 2 summons only move 2. So the Void Eater is going to catch up way before anyone else is. So my plan right here was to go slow, hopefully have everything come in, and then I got a little bit lucky with my Void Eater surviving there, but my plan was to use strength in numbers to tell my Void Eater to get back to the back of the room. But given the way things moved forward, the fact that those dragons didn't come in all the way since they were standing still this turn, that meant that they're most likely not going to reach my Void Eater by the next turn, and so I can go ahead and deal a little bit more damage here. I would really like to get this snake dead because he has a big move and jump and then target all adjacents, which that can basically just clear all of my summons. And then all of these enemies are really annoying, and I need to deal a lot of damage. So I'm planning on just going fast here, and yeah, my summons in the back aren't quite catching up, but this heal 2 every turn from my Conjured Aid summon is really nice. And then since the snake was faster, my Void Eater is able to get that kill there, which is really clutch. And then here, I kind of decided that I would just let my Void Eater die. I do have the ability to... Oh, no, because this imp is just single target this turn, so I'm able to step in front so that I will take the damage. I believe it's on the following turn I decide to just sacrifice my Void Eater. I have the ability to get back 4 lost cards. I have no idea what is going on with that zombie. If anybody has any clue why that living spirit walked closer to the tree right there, I do not understand it. So once again, these imps aren't attacking, but unfortunately, that imp did just strengthen both of those Rending Drakes. So they cannot miss, basically, even though I've put tons of curses into their deck. And so this is where I decide to just go ahead and sacrifice my poor little guy. Unfortunately, these dragons are also target 2 on this turn, so I had to move myself in such a way that the Rending Drake would only be able to reach my Void Eater and wouldn't be able to reach me. Because even though I'm a full tank build, I am not very tanky. These dragons can hit me for 8 or 9. They can hit me for ridiculous numbers, and then they also wound. And I'm close enough to my Conjured Aid to get his heals, but it's not super consistent. A nice rolling wound there on this dragon. They got their shield this turn, which was both good and bad for me. Obviously, they blocked some damage, but they didn't deal any damage. And so now that my Void Eater is down, I believe this is the time to Unending Dominance. It'll get me 4 cards back, so no better time to use it. But I am going to have to spend a turn bringing my Void Eater back into the scenario. So that's going to be a little bit sketchy. But yeah, I want to go ahead and do that as fast as possible. And I do have my shield up, and hopefully one of these dragons will go down. Okay, nice. So one dragon does go down. I am not comfortable with my with my healing sprite getting that close to them. But fortunately, this is just a single target turn from the dragon, so I'm able to just walk right up in his face, even though he's strengthened. Get my Void Eater back. And probably big damage coming in on me this turn, but it's looking like I can win. So even though I worked so hard to run over and open this door as quickly as possible to pull the dragons out, you can see the tree only has 1 health left. It was actually still super, super, super close, even with me flying way far ahead. But I have that wall shield, which blocks 4 damage, so I'm still nice and healthy, so it's time to just lay in extra damage with Divided Mind. And then, even though my healing sprite... Oh, my healing sprite basically does get the kill with that wound, but gotta let the summoner take it herself. It's nice to just swing that staff around a little bit. And all of a sudden, it looks like this scenario is going to be a win. There's not really much left to it. Now, finally, this living corpse is finding a focus. I have no idea what he was doing there. I believe he was just misprogrammed and he was really obsessed with that tree. But it really doesn't matter very much. He has very little movement, and there are difficult terrain hexes blocking the door. So he basically can't really leave that room. The only card he can draw is his 91 speed move 3. And that's the only way he can get over those tiles. But I was finally able to do it. This was not my first attempt. This was not the first level I tried. I was very convinced that there was another level that I could beat with the summoner. But this was the one that I was finally able to do it. So feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and come on back for the next one. Thanks.